Happy 2025 and welcome into Attacking Third. We enter our 5th year of coverage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've missed you all. It's been a lovely break, but man, oh man, are we ready to be back? And Attacking Third is back in full force. 2 shows a week live on YouTube, 11 a.m. Eastern time on Mondays and Thursday. And you can listen everywhere you get your podcasts alongside Darian Jenkins and Sandra Herrera. I'm Lisa Carlin. It is a new year, new starts, new resolutions, but the same faces here on A3 and Darian and Sandra. It is good to see yours. Darian, how are you? How was your break?
It was good. It was, you know what? I sadly got super sick the day of the start of our break. So I've been in recovery, but it was nice. I was home. My mom made me chicken noodle soup. I got to spend time with my family, watched a lot of soccer. It was lovely. But I'm so happy to be back. A lot has happened, and I'm happy to see your beautiful faces.
There's nothing like homemade chicken noodle soup when you're under the weather.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. Sandra, how was your break? How was your new year?
Pretty good. I love how you like introed us there. It's like very much like New Year's, same vibes, like same me kind of vibe, which is like really truly what it feels like a little bit. But same with Darian. I picked up a little something. There's nothing like the end of the year.
It happens every year.
Reminding you that you are doing too damn much. So now here it is, all catching up with you. But nothing, just enjoy the sweet raspiness of my voice today. And it's a treat for all of us. It was a gift and surprise for me when I woke up today.
The sweet sounds of Sandra and her raspy voice. I wish I got to do this show in person every day with both of you, but right now I'm actually super glad that there's a lot of miles between us because I'm not getting sick from either of you, thankfully right now. But it is a new year. We do resolutions. There's a lot that happens when you change the calendar. Did you guys do resolutions? Do you do those, Sandra, for the new year? Do you start new? Do you have any 2025 resolutions?
You know what? I don't really have a lot of resolutions this year, Lisa, because I've got so much in front of me. I got to plan a wedding. So that's what's happening for me. So it's not so much resolutions. It's definitely a to-do list and boxes to check off. So if anyone has any connects for spots in Chicago to host a wedding, let me know.
Congratulations,
Sandra. Congrats.
Thanks, gang.
My gosh. We're so excited for you. Finally, the news is public. Ring the bells. She's getting pitched. Let's go. I'm so happy for you, Sandra. Congrats.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys. You're always so supportive. I love you guys.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So far, I've gotten engaged on the show. Sandra's gotten engaged on the show. This is weird. We've been around for a while.
We're growing up, but
don't even try to speculate.
I wasn't going there. Darian, what about you? New Year's resolutions? What are you going to try in the new year? Anything fun?
I'm not a big resolutions person. I do like to put out what I want into the universe, what I want to happen, what I aspire to happen. One thing, though, that I want to change about myself is eating breakfast every day. So I've started off the last 2 days having breakfast, and I feel so much better when 2 o'clock comes around already. So that's probably my big one. Wow, I'm not a big resolution person.
That's a good one. What are you eating? Are you like making yourself eggs or like bowls?
I made 2 scrambled eggs. Perfect. And eat them so quickly because I get put off of eggs very, very quickly.
Yeah. Douse them in hot sauce. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Guys, send Darian your breakfast recipes and what she should make in the morning to eat. Overnight oats.
Very simple, please.
Yeah, I'm not a big overnight oats person, but that's a big one. Mine, I'm trying to cook more. I love cooking and I love making and preparing meals, but I always make the same thing. So this year I'm going to try new recipes, try out some other things and test myself. And if I burn it or it goes wrong, hey, it happens. Let us know your 2025 resolutions, things you're trying, you're changing in the new year. Today, guys, we have a lot to get caught up on free agency. We're sticking with our team needs off season. We're talking every single team today. We get to dive into San Diego Wave. And then, of course, we're going to talk our resolutions, so to say, for 2025 in terms of women's soccer. In case you're new here, you haven't been around, or you've missed the messaging, guys, we're nominated for Sports Podcast Awards, not 1, but 2 different categories. So please go vote for us in the Best Football Podcast and for the Diverse Voices Awards. every single award is entirely determined by fans' votes. You can vote from now until January 13th. There's a QR code. There's a link in the chat on YouTube. There's a podcast description link. So go find the link and vote for Attacking Third for the best football podcast. Thank you so much for making 2024 magical. Let's make 2025 start with a bang, and then maybe we can win some hardware. So thanks, guys. Go vote for us. Let's dive into it, because free agency in this 2024-2025 offseason of the NWSL has been insane, to say the least. We step away for 2 weeks and so much has happened, especially with the elimination of the college draft. There's a lot of new signings and every player is a free agent. A couple players have announced their retirement. Number one is goalkeeper Nicole Barnhart. She is stepping away from the game. She's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and a 2-time NWSL champion. Let's go team by team, because there's a lot to dive into. Let's start with Houston Dash, because this is a team that is absolutely bulking up. They have acquired 2-time NWSL champion forward Yazmeen Ryan from Gotham FC. In this trade, they also got $80,000 in transfer funds from Gotham in exchange for $400,000 in allocation money plus an international roster spot. But Ryan is headed to Houston. Sandra, this was a really big move for Houston, for Yaz, and a huge loss for Gotham.
It's massive. I think it raises what I think people are saying, some question marks around Gotham. How are they going to look next season? It's not their only departure in the offseason for the team. I'm sure we're going to get into that in a little bit. But for Houston, it's checking off more of those boxes, the boxes that we said we wanted to see for them in this offseason. We wanted to see them get that type of X factor, that prolific kind of player into the mix, especially in their attack. And I think this is a huge gift for them, almost possibly perfect fit for them in going out and getting Yazmeen Ryan. And I think for player, honestly, I think that cranks up a bit of the pressure, though, for a player like this. I think this is someone who was coming off of a trajectory at the end of 2024, bright star, getting call-ins to national team camps, getting minutes, being effective under those bright lights. And when you get these numbers behind a player in a trade, whether it's, you know, the fees, the international spots, everything that gets swapped around, that cranks up the pressure a little bit. It places that onto the shoulders of a player, unfortunately. Like, if you're making these types of moves for this type of player, how are they going to look in the system, and what are they going to offer, and how are they going to deliver? So that is going to be for Yazmeen Ryan to kind of to tackle and take care of in 2025. And as we know, Houston hasn't announced a coach yet. So they're getting these players that can obviously compete at this level, but how are they going to function together, and what are they going to look like?
I'm so curious what the promises that have been made to bring in players like Delaney Sheehan, Yazmeen Ryan, Kristen Westphal, who are now veterans in this league. With the reputation Houston has amongst players, it's terrible. It's not where you want to go. How many careers have we seen that took a hit because they played at the Dash for a year? So what type of coach are they promising to bring in? What style of player are they promising is going to suit these players? These are such big moves to me that I'm so curious. I would love to be a fly on the wall to see what Houston is telling them that they're planning to do, what coaches they're talking to, because that is so risky. I know that they're putting a really nice price tag on these contracts. These players are getting paid. I'm very happy about that. But similar to you, Sandra, I wonder, Yazmeen's on this incredible precipice of her career where she's breaking into the national team. She's getting so many good results at every level, every position that she plays on the pitch. I really, really hope this is the best move for her to move forward in her career and keep that same level that she's been building on, especially the last 2 seasons with Gotham.
Darian, what would it take for you as a player to go to Houston? What promises would you need to hear or be assured of?
Great question.
The coach is developing me. There's actual goals in place to make Houston a Kansas City standard. You know, they have an amazing stadium. They have great training facilities. They have everything that other NWSL teams want. They set a standard when Houston came into the NWSL. Yet, it's front office chaos that has let this team down for so many years. And we've seen really good players go and really try their hardest at Houston. I mean, Rachel Daly was at Houston for a long time, was their best player by far.
Yeah.
But still was not good conditions from the front office standpoint.
Even Maria Sanchez, most recently.
Maria Sanchez, yeah.
It was a huge signing
they
for
had
Gotham.
Sofia Huerta.
For her. Yep. There was a lot on paper that made it feel like Houston was going to take the next step, which arguably could be said right now for all the acquisitions the Dash have made in this past couple of weeks, that they are looking to take steps forward to be a playoff contending team, to be a Shield contending team. But I mean, from this conversation right now, it feels like all three of us are like, they're not going to do it.
I will believe it when I see it. I don't have, they've given me nothing to feel confident about for years. When I played to now the post-playing career where we're a little bit more on the outside and have, I guess, less of a personal view on how I would approach even thinking of considering going to Houston Dash. But they must be promising some really, really good shit, because that is not a place, especially watching this last year, how they handled Maria Sanchez, how poorly they did. Coaches, like, the list can go on and on. I'm going to be very curious, and I hope that they prove everybody wrong and actually hire a great coach, and this GM does what she's had a history of doing and redirecting this program to be something that's desirable for players to want to go to, but they have a lot to prove.
Houston taking steps potentially in the right direction. I don't know. We'll see what happens once they take the pitch, but hopefully these players all getting paid big bucks at Houston. That's probably one thing that we can count on, because, hey, when all else fails, pay the players and they'll show up. So Houston, they've struggled recently, right, in terms of play on the pitch, a lot of front office turnover. But another team that's looks like they're struggling front office and with a lot of turnover right now is Gotham FC. They won the NWSL championship 2 years ago. They had a good run in 2024. And we did tease this trade for Gotham before we took our little break for the new year, but it is officially official. Gotham FC has traded U.S. women's national team forward Lynn Williams and goalkeeper Cassie Miller to Seattle Reign. Gotham, in this trade and exchange, they get midfielder Jalen Howe plus $70,000 in allocation money and an international spot. But Lynn Williams and Cassie Miller, two players that filled roles for Gotham last year. I mean, Lynn Williams being an incredible leader, scoring goals. Cassie Miller stepping in when Gotham didn't have any goalkeepers. They go on a run in the postseason, but now they've made so many different changes. They needed to add people in, so Gotham did that. They signed Brazilian international forward and 2024 Ballon d'Or feminine nominee Gabi Portillo. So they lose one striker and forward Darian and Lynn Williams, but then they gained Gabi Portillo. That's a pretty good get for this Gotham side.
I mean, it's an amazing get. Remember when we played coaches? I think I had Angel City. I wanted her to go to Angel City. This is an incredible player. I think this is a great signing for Gotham. Clearly, Coach Juan Carlos Amorós is acquiring players, to me, that fit multiple pockets on the field. She's not just through and through number 9. She can also play the 10. She can play on the wing, similar to how Yazmeen Ryan played, where she's incredibly versatile, but brings the same standard to every single position. You know exactly what you're going to get. So I like this move for Gotham. But what the hell? I feel that we predicted this last year of Gotham, watching all of these signings. The U.S. women's national team is coming to Gotham after they come off of winning a championship. This kind of blue collar, by sky blue, this is the new Gotham type of team, where they were really taking care of the players that had helped build this club up. Now there is a max exodus of players, and it's going to be a completely different culture, identity. I still think we're going to see a lot of moves of people leaving Gotham having to acquire more players. It's very interesting. I don't think it's going to be similar to what we've seen in years past from this team. I mean, you do have a Midge Purse coming back. That's a completely different type of dynamic forward, which is great for Gotham. But you have a player like Ella Stevens, Esther, Gabi Portillo. They all play somewhat similarly. They do. So I'm very curious to see how Gotham's going to handle these changes, and then bringing another 6 in like Jalen Howe.
Yeah.
With Neely Martin, the absence of Delaney Sheehan. I think there's going to be some time before we see this team really have the style of play that maybe we're expecting from Coach Juan Carlos Amorós.
Gotham also re-signed Jess Silva, the Portuguese forward, so she'll be there through only the summer, June 2025. Before her contract is up. They signed goalkeeper Shelby Hogan out of Portland. So Gotham got Hogan and $40,000 in allocation money. Portland, they got $10,000 in interleague transfer funds and an international slot. Gotham also signed a college player out of University of Pittsburgh forward Sarah Shapansky through 2026 with an option. She was at Pitt. She was a captain. She led the NCAA in assists this past season with 2015. But when you look ultimately at Gotham's roster, they have lost defender Sam Hyatt, defender Maitani, midfielder Delaney Sheehan, forward Yazmeen Ryan, Lynn Williams, and Cassie Miller. They've gained some players, Portillo, Shelby Hogan, and then this rookie to be out of Pittsburgh, Sarah Shapansky. But those are big losses. They have a lot of holes. Where do they need to fill in these next couple of weeks before the season starts, Sandra, specifically when you look about the loss and the gain for Gotham? What are the holes still?
It's kind of funny because I just sort of feel like going over some of these moves with you and you kind of running down the players who are out and who are in. It's almost like some of these moves that Gotham have made thus far are moves to help supplement deals that they knew were going to happen. So Lynn Williams, gone. Portillo. Cassie Miller, okay. Hogan. There are moves that are being made so that they aren't actually losing out positionally within those areas. So I think they're actually doing an okay enough job to sustain themselves moving forward. But I think when you run down all the players like that, it raises questions. And folks who are like, what's going on with Gotham and this and that, I think it's a valid question. When you have that much movement, there's going to be those question marks. And I think if you're Gotham, you're concerned about that narrative for your franchise. You don't want to have the narrative of like, what's going on? Or like, what does this mean? To lose a few players in an offseason where you knew you had free agents on the list, maybe that's a layer of normalcy now that we can look at in NWSL. It's like, okay, here's a few players who are on that free agency market. We're going to try maybe in good faith to negotiate with them, but there's a possibility that we can lose them. But these players that we're talking about are coming by way of trade. These aren't necessarily free agent moves. Lynn Williams expressing that maybe she wanted to be closer, back to the West Coast, so going to Seattle. And I'm sure as a club, they want the narrative out there that, oh yeah, look how great we are at listening and honoring requests and moving players. I don't know if that's the type of backhanded compliment that you want around your club, because the main question remains, why do these players want out to begin with? So congratulations on being a club that wants to adhere to those things and work with other clubs to move those players. But there's still that initial question of why. So I'm curious if there's going to be more coming in the works, like to, what Darian alluded to, especially in coming off of an off season where they were promoting themselves as that, the class of 2024, where they got not just one, but 4 U.S. women's national team players on the pitch. And, whether it was Davidson or Sonnet or Lavelle or Dunn, who we all know at this point was an excused absence amongst this roster for really the entire post Olympics. I'm sure there's question marks around that. What kind of movement will we continue to see for Gotham, and what type of players will that be? If they lose, I think, one of those free agents for some reason that they got in 2024, it's going to absolutely continue to ring alarms, because you're talking about players that you just made moves for in the prior offseason. So it's something that I think we're going to continue to see, because we're still just in the beginning of the new year and preseason is still a little bit away. There's definitely time to make more moves here.
There's time for a lot more to come. Of course, we'll keep everyone updated what's happening, especially with Gotham. Free agency, there were a bunch of other updates that happened. Angel City, they signed a rookie, a midfielder, Macy Hodge. She's out of Mississippi State University. And Angel City forward Katie Johnson announced her retirement. She was a Mexican international. She played 7 seasons in the NWSL. Wishing Katie Johnson all the best moving forward. Kansas City Current, they've signed goalkeepers. They're adding more players between the sticks. Brazilian national team goalkeeper Lorena, she's there through 2027 with an option for 28. So a 3-year contract for Lorena. And also goalkeeper Laurel Ivory out of Seattle. She was with Seattle last season. So Ivory has joined Kansas City Current as well. They've also bulked up in the midfield. Kansas City Current have acquired midfielder Rocky Rodriguez from Angel City in exchange for $100,000 in interleague transfer funds. Darian, how is Rocky going to shore up that midfield of Kansas City? What is this move?
I mean, Kansas City need help in the midfield.
Crowded, maybe?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Rocky Rodriguez. I would pull her to whatever team I could if I were a manager. But you think about Kansas City's midfield. They have DiBernardo, Labonta, Debinha, who can play in the midfield. Why is the rookie's name escaping me?
Claire Hutton.
Claire Hutton. One of my favorite players of the last season.
Excellent.
That you forgot her name?
That I forgot. Yeah, it's that we were on a break. Sorry, everybody. We were on a 2-week hiatus. I'm so sorry. But it's another edition where I'm like, how are they gonna fit everybody? And how is this Gotham FC 2024? Are you gonna have champagne problems with players that are expecting to play that now you just simply don't have the room for? There's only 11 players on the pitch. The midfield is tight. It's competitive. That does not change a lot.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. I love Rocky. I hope she gets a lot of playing time, but at the expense of those other players from Kansas City we mentioned, I'm like, wait, how do you fit in where?
What's
it's going to be interesting to see how Vlatko changes things around, but
maybe he'll just play with like 4 central midfielders or something.
They go into a box
in the midfield.
I mean,
yeah,
it's happened before.
It has happened before. There's been some other college signings as well. North Carolina, they signed their first player straight out of college, defender Brooklyn Courtnall. She's with the Courage for 3 years. She's out of University of Southern California. She was a first-team All-American. Utah Royals, they also signed a college player from Texas, a Longhorn goalkeeper, Mia Justice. She's there through 2027. And Portland Thorns, although we're not talking about any signings, they have announced that some players are leaving the Thorns, one of them being defender Megan Klingenberg. She is a free agent, and she has announced that she will not be returning to Portland, as well as defender Kelly Hubley. Big moves for these players. Sandra, where do you want to see them? Where could either Megan Klingenberg or Kelly Hubley fit in the league?
Look, there's some teams out there that still need to lock up some defenders or maybe get some depth if they're looking for a player like Klingenberg with a lot of experience who still wants to, navigate this latter stage of her career. But I think for Hubley and maybe some of what we've been seeing out of San Diego, maybe that could be a couple of phone calls that could be happening there. I think honestly, maybe if we were just talking about Gotham, and how things are looking on there, and maybe they're a team that are trying to have conversations with a player like that. But I think when we're looking at NWSL caliber experienced center backs specifically, where maybe you want someone to slot in and know that you could just sort of trust them immediately, that's a player I think that you want to have conversations with for sure.
A lot of different players. Yeah, you like it, D?
I kind of want them both to go to San Diego. Stay on the West Coast. San Diego needs help. I know we're talking about San Diego next, but praise be for them because they need some security. They need some veteran leadership. They need players where you know exactly what you're going to get from them. I think they need another center back for sure in Kelly Hubley. And then Kling, a player who can be very versatile, play right or left. Great wing back. She's super intelligent. She's a great leader. I think San Diego needs a player like that, especially with a foreign coach coming into the NWSL. And we know it takes some time to adjust. You need players like a Klingenberg who can help relate and establish that relationship between players and manager.
Paul Brown with us on YouTube saying Becky Sauerbrunn, Megan Klingenberg, and Kelly Hubley all leaving Portland. That is a changing of the guard for sure. You hit the nail on the head, Paul. It absolutely is. Who knows? Maybe they'll stay on the West Coast like Dee is saying. and go to San Diego. That leads us to it. We are talking San Diego and our team needs next. We'll be right back after a quick break. And while you got 30 seconds, guys, go vote for Attacking Third in the Sports Podcast Awards. Welcome back to Attacking Third. This offseason is filled with a lot of moves, a lot of changes, a lot of firings, and a lot of hirings. And we are going team by team in the NWSL to see what clubs need to do in order to be better next season. Now we're looking at San Diego Wave. They finished 10th place in 2024. They had a roller coaster of a season. They only had 25 points, 6 wins, 7 draws, 13 losses, and a goal differential of -11. The transfer that happened during the season with San Diego is crazy. In June, they parted ways with their head coach, Casey Stoney. Interim Paul Buckle took over, but only until August when San Diego named Landon Donovan, yes, the former U.S. soccer superstar, as an interim head coach, a permanent interim. That was named in August. They also lost a lot of players. They lost defender Abby Dahlkemper. She got traded to Bay FC. Forward Alex Morgan announced her retirement. And then in this offseason, in December, president of San Diego Wave, Jill Ellis, she stepped down from her role and moved over to FIFA. And now San Diego has hired former Arsenal coach in Jonas Eidevall as their head coach. He resigned, I guess we're going to say stepped down from Arsenal in October after just 7 matches. And that announcement is...
Oh, bye, Lise. We loved having you.
Oh, did she?
Have to be official.
I for sure thought it was
days.
mine.
When we think back, Darian, to 2024 San Diego. No,
just 2025.
Oh no, Lisa.
Well, Darian, she was teeing up to you. So let's just stick with that. So when we're thinking back to 2024 for San Diego Wave, I'm going to assume that this was the question that she wanted to ask you. What was maybe some of the most glaring, possibly Captain Obvious type of issues that they had going on the pitch for you that you saw over the last year?
Sadly, I think it's another case of the front office mayhem is bleeding into how the playing side is approached. You can't have from the top, very top down, so much discourse about how bad it is, how sadly, how poorly people are being treated. People are quitting, people are suing. It's wild. Of course, that's going to bleed down into the players. As much as they don't want it to, it fully did. You saw how unhappy players were.
Yeah.
Players leaving. Alex Morgan retiring was a huge hit to women's soccer in general, but imagine being her teammate and seeing everything that she's done for you guys, how much she probably advocated for the players is stepping away from the game. That's a lot emotionally to handle, to go into work every day knowing that things aren't great. People are wanting to leave. People are unhappy. One of the biggest figures in women's soccer stepping away from the game. You saw how emotional it was for players. I mean, after games, some of them were emotional and upset. You heard Landon Donovan talking about it, that when he first came in to coach them, he didn't realize, they needed a second to process and talk about everything that's going on and how much change has happened and how that's affected how they're able to show up and be professional athletes every day on the field. Yeah. And sadly, in the results that we saw, the style of play, we saw that happen. So many coaching changes, so many different tactics. It's going to affect the way that you show up and how confident you feel going into a game. And San Diego is not a bad team. They have great talent on the pitch. They have great players who are also great people. But sadly, you cannot separate so much of the front office from the playing side. And we just saw that and how poorly they were playing be a result of that.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's kind of the vibe where it's like if it looked bad and it felt bad, it was probably bad. And we definitely saw that over 2024. Like if it's getting to a point where it was boiling over with body language that we see week in, week out, chances are it wasn't great in 2024 for the Wave. Lisa, welcome back.
Hi, guys. It's good to be back. As
Love
someone
that.
in the chat said, my machine was just too overwhelmed with everything that went wrong at San Diego last year
Yeah.
that it
Shout
crashed.
out Team Money. Yes,
Money.
absolutely.
I like that, T-Money. There was a lot that San Diego had to deal with last year, but they have to take steps forward. They absolutely have to, because this is a championship caliber team, despite being a young team, only 4 seasons into the league. They have to be back on top, and that's the bar that they have set for themselves. When you look at the free agents that they haven't signed yet, and some of the players that they've already brought back, it does point to a lot of question marks. One of them being midfielder Danielle Colaprico. She's a free agent,
Yes.
not re-signed yet.
Yeah.
That to me says a lot. If I'm a player looking at that club and that roster, to me, I'm like, why isn't she re-signing there? What's going on? They also have a number of other free agents. They have re-signed goalkeeper Hillary Beale, defender Hannah Lundqvist, and defender Kristen McNabb, but there are a lot of other free agents: Elise Bennett, Kyra Carusa, Danielle Colaprico, Morgan Messner, and Amira Ali. Sandra, is this a question mark that, frankly, they haven't signed Danielle Colaprico back yet?
Yeah, 100%. And the fact that they're not going to. I mean, I think that's one of the last updates that we got from San Diego. Like, they did this massive kind of like thank you for your service kind of post, towards the end of the year, where it was for Bennett, for Carusa, for Colaprico, Ali. And once you do that, that's obviously they're moving on. They're in conversations with either other teams or they have moved on and it's yet to be announced. But once that happens, they're not coming back. It's not that like the Wave are just making an official post like that in the hopes that that's going to tip the negotiating scales in their favor. Like, no, that's done. So if I'm another team, you absolutely want to get in the mix, I think, for Colaprico. I think if we already talked a little about Gotham, but I think maybe they need another midfielder. I think that'd be a good fit. But don't want to get in on a tangent there. But those are the continued question marks that we're talking about for San Diego now into 2025. I think there are little things that maybe you want to point at if you are a Wave fan and you're like grasping at the straws of like what can we hang on to here for 2025. There's a lot of rumors. The rumor mill just continues to churn about Naomi Girma, what's going to happen there. There's a lot of obvious interest around the best player in the world right now in Girma. So there's going to be worry about that, how you can retain her. I think
Sandra, what was the rumor mill saying? Where's she going? What's happening? Is she leaving?
I mean, there's just like attention from Europe, I think, but there's nothing concrete enough to say that there's like advanced conversations with any specific club at this point in 2025. But now that the new year has officially rung in, who knows? Maybe that will escalate. But I think if you're San Diego and you technically have this player under contract, you're either making a deal for a massive fee, or you're trying to talk to this player and say, we are going to continue to get someone in and build and make sure that San Diego is back to what it was when they drafted her, which was a playoff caliber team and a title winning team.
For Naomi Girma, now that, whatever happens with her, of course, we'll let you guys know, but they've signed a new head coach, Jonas Eidevall, and they have a head coach now, which says a lot more than Houston or some of the other clubs out there. But Darian, what do we know about his style of play, what he can do? Who should he be looking to bring in? What can we expect? I know it's crystal ball-esque because we don't know how he'll do in NWSL, but what do we know?
For me, I'm thinking, okay, this is a European coach. Yes, he lost the locker room in Arsenal, clearly, but he is decorated. He does have good relationships, and San Diego's a prime market. Who does not want to live in San Diego? I want to live there. It's warm there right now. It's freezing in New York. You can attract really big players. I was actually looking at European free agents, and I'm thinking, well, you need some players that are going to define your style of play, who you can really build this team around. And if you have younger players, this is how you're going to develop them. This is how you're going to train them. So I'm thinking Kira Walsh. Bring in Kira Walsh from Barcelona. That is a player who you can make a very defined style of play around, who's possession heavy, who can build with Girma. Two very solid players. You need another striker, maybe a Chloe Kelly. You want another defender. I know we were talking about Kelly Hubley going there potentially. I love that. Same with Klingenberg. What about a Millie Bright? Bring Millie Bright over. These are players that even have such names that will change the way that teams come and approach the way that they're going to play you. So
if Jonas Eidevall can get players like that to San Diego, that would convince Girma to stay, because her
absolutely. I don't think all these players are going to go there. Right. Don't get me wrong. I'm dreaming if I really think that. I'm just looking at who I would try to approach if I were him and I had these connections in Europe, specifically in the WSL, who I could try to bring over. You live in San Diego. Things are changing. You can basically start from scratch from this last year. You have Naomi Girma, one of the best players in the field. You have Kaylin Sheridan, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, who can build out with her feet in an incredible way. You can really transform this team and make them into what you want. But you need some high caliber players around those couple of players that you already have to really build and become a very respectable, confident team to go into the NWSL season.
It's a tall task for anyone. Yeah. Jonas Eidevall, he said, hey, I'll take it on. We'll see, because there's still a lot of unsigned free agents at San Diego. There's still a lot of unsigned free agents in the NWSL and players that are potentially looking to leave. We'll see what 2025 brings for San Diego and for us and our wishes and what we want. We're making room for 2025 when we get back and what we want to see in the new year. Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third. We have officially entered 2025. We started the show talking about our personal resolutions, what we're going to do, and we've already talked about what we want out of 2025 and our wish list and signings and rule changes. So now we're going to talk about what we're leaving behind in 2024, things that we don't want to see again in 2025 in terms of football and women's soccer. If you're with us on YouTube, guys, let us know, what are you leaving behind in 2024? What are you done with? You're saying good riddance to, and what else do you want to see moving forward? Dee, we're going to start with you. What are you leaving behind?
I'm honored. Premature moves in front office positions. That's NWSL announcing expansion teams that are not ready. Premature coach firings, i.e. Casey Stoney. Tournaments that are not that well thought out, i.e. the Summer Cup. I think there needs to be a little bit more thought into putting these things forward or announcing them before they're just done. I think the NWSL overcorrects a lot of the time, and they're a little bit trigger happy with making decisions, and we're going to have this really grand announcement because this sounds great. And it's not, there should never be a team winning 13-0 in a tournament anymore. I'm sorry. That's crazy. This is not well thought out. There needs to be changes. And a few other things that I thought of. 3 game weeks. There should not be any 3 more match weeks. That's wild. Players' bodies need the rest. You think about the travel that comes with that. There's no recovery. You can't even train to prepare for the next game. I thought this was going to be done from the previous CBA. Still is a thing because the NWSL threw in so many extra tournaments that teams were required to do. So those are some of the things I really want to leave behind in 2024. And this year, with not so many tournaments as last year had, I think that we'll see a lot of that come to fruition.
I am obsessed with your take, Darian. I'm obsessed with the premature announcement take. That is
so... like, let's relax. Let's take a beat.
It is so NWSL to a T that they are like, oh, it's a rumor. Things are happening. We have to get out ahead of it. No, rumors are good. If you have journalists breaking stories, that means your league and your teams and your moves are big enough to be reported stories. That's a good thing.
Love it.
When sources say and breaking news and things like that, when it doesn't come from you as a league, the league definitely needs to do that, because they said the 16th expansion team would be announced by Q4, which I'm not a business person, but that basically means December 31st of 2024.
Just
And
don't say anything. Just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Boss Nation was not ready to be announced. Shut up. Don't announce it.
They weren't. There's so many things that the league should have just said, you know what, we're going to take a minute. We're going to take a minute and not announce this. We'll let the rumors swirl and then we'll go from there. That's a good one. All right, Sandra, can you top that?
I don't think so. Honestly, because I think there's just a lot of crossover and a lot of agreement with this kind of stuff. I mean, one of the things that came to my mind automatically was the chaotic stoppage time. And I didn't want to lead with that simply because I feel like we ended up talking about it so much in 2024. I mean, it was a constant theme, week in, week out. It wasn't just one game over the weekend. It would be multiple games throughout match weeks where we saw extensive stoppage time. So I'm hopeful that we're leaving that behind in 2024, and hopefully in 2025 we're gonna get some better things in the new year. But I'd like some adjustments. Sometimes you don't want to throw the tub out with the bathwater, right? And sometimes for New Year's, in the theme of resolutions, you're just making tweaks. Maybe you're doing some good stuff, but you learned some things over the year and you just want to be better. And so for me, if Challenge Cup is still going to be a thing, which it so very obviously is, because I think for many, many years now, people thought that it would be done away with, and Challenge Cup just keeps coming back. She just refuses to die. So she just Challenge Cup keeps evolving. So if we're going to keep having Challenge Cup, and it's going to be probably too late to do this now, but something that bothered me about its re-evolution in 2024 was that there was no opportunity for the reigning Challenge Cup holder to try to have their say on the day. So if you were, for example, back-to-back winning North Carolina Courage, Challenge Cup winners, by the time it was 2024, you weren't even part of the equation for Challenge Cup, even though you had won this tournament. So if Challenge Cup is still going to be around in 2025 and beyond, let reigning cup holders defend the title. And I think there's going to be a counter argument for people who are going to be like, well, do you really want to see 2025 San Diego Wave try to start off the year with so much pressure? And my answer is yes. Bring it to me. I love the chaos. Bring it to me. San Diego Wave versus, at this point, whoever the Shield winner is or the championship holder is. And in this case, it would have been Orlando. So have at it.
That's what they did last year. And I agree. I liked it, especially if there's a sponsor on the line and money.
You make it mean something. It's not just, yes, the money is important, but make it mean something. Give them a chance.
That leads me to one of mine, which is prize money. If there is prize money, if there is an incentive for players, make the announcement, make it public, and also make there be prize money. But there was what were we covering last year? I can't even remember. And I was like, is there money in this game? What's happening?
Summer Cup.
Yes, Summer Cup. That's what it was, Summer Cup. And all of a sudden, our Jenny Chu, reporter on the ground, good friend of the show, we are texting her, go ask the players, go ask the officials, is there prize money? We never even got official word. So there is one end of it where it's premature announcement, and then there's another end where there is no announcement. Let us know. I want to have a little bit more transparency in 2025. I'm also leaving behind strategic goalkeeper timeouts. In the 20th
minute. That's a great one.
Tactical timeout.
You are not allowed to go down anymore.
Oh my goodness.
No way to know if a player is actually hurt or what's happening, but there should be a way, and they should get a yellow card or something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Hey, don't listen to this.
I know. I don't like it. I don't want it, which would also help with the excessive stoppage time. It would be a triple down effect, and that's what I want. I also want to leave behind. I was trying to figure out how I was going to word this, but basically, I want more women-owned or team-owned facilities. Everything. Now, we can't all get, every single club can't get a CPKC NWSL specific built stadium and training facility. However, when you get there, don't pawn it off to other teams before your team has a chance to use it. I'm thinking a couple weeks before the NWSL Championship, when Kansas City used their field for something else, it looked like American football. And there was a whole strip of it torn up and destroyed in the grass. I don't want that. Let these shared spaces be of benefit to NWSL clubs. That's what I want. Whether they're the third tenant or the second tenant, let them have something that they get to own and move forward with. That's what I want in 2025. So I kind of spun it wrong because I couldn't figure out the wording.
We do what we want. It's fine.
We did what we want.
I followed it. You're good.
Thank you. There's a lot to come in 2025 before we close out this episode. What are we excited for? Sandra, what are you looking forward to in this year of women's football?
Oh my goodness. So 2025 already was bringing some energy from people who were just like, oh, it's going to be so great that there's like no real like major international footy type of stuff in 2025. There's no World Cup. There's no Olympics. Like, guys, like there's still major international tournaments that are going to happen. We're going to have like witness the Women's Euro, but I'm particularly hyped for Copa America Femenina in 2025. Give me that sweet, sweet CONMEBOL chaos. And there's definitely some layers of chaos to it for sure. It's going to be hosted, in Ecuador, but there's not exactly venues planned out. I think they might have one for the final, but there's still some things up in the air about it. But again, things that we want to leave behind in 2024. Don't do these things. Don't make these premature decisions and then still not have the entire plan laid out. But that,
so
I'm not gonna
NWSL, it's women's soccer as a whole.
In general, wide umbrella here. But you know what? I'm not gonna let that rain spoil my parade. I'm here for Copa America Femenina. They tweaked it a little bit too. I think that's also kind of hyping me up a little bit. It kind of served as a bit of a qualifier really for World Cups in the past, but that's not going to be the case. They, CONMEBOL's making an actual sort of World Cup qualifying process. And so instead of that, it's going to be like Olympic spots are going to sort of be up for grabs for Copa America Femenina. So I think that is an added layer of like, you're taking one thing out, but kind of slotting another thing in to still kind of make it that little bit of extra high stakes energy for this kind of competition. Brazil has always been really on top. I think they are like 4-time champions at this point, but the groups I think have been laid out too. And you've got Colombia who were runners up, like in the same group of Brazil. Like, who's it going to be? So I think there's enough here to get excited about. I'm excited about it. I can't wait for Copa America in the summer.
Let's go. You got me excited for it. All right, Dee, what about you? 2025? What you got your sights set on?
One, I am looking forward to the Orlando Pride defending their titles. I do think this is a year where even more records are going to be broken because of the competition. I think Orlando was so solid this last year. They've retained their players. I know Marta's up near what she's planning to do, and I feel confident that she's going to stay in Orlando. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them and how they're going to come out. And I don't expect them to change the way that they play that much. I just expect even more goals and very solid defense. So that's what I'm looking forward to, specifically NWSL. Broader, I want to see more NWSL, WSL crossover. I know that WSL, some teams came here to the US. They had some scrimmages, some friendlies with NWSL teams, and I loved seeing that. We always talk about wanting to see these teams play each other, which league is better, what would this matchup look like of these players, and we finally got to see that. So I want that to be more of a thing. I want there to be so much more of that crossover, and whether it's even players going on loan to both leagues and we see some more Americans, more NWSL players go over to the WSL and play for a little bit, or WSL players come to the US and play in the NWSL. I'm just here for more of that. I want more of that in 2025.
Yes.
More of it.
More collabs.
Yes.
Collabs. Well, in lieu of not having as many tournaments, we get to see semis and finals of the CONCACAF W Champions Cup. That'll come in May. Starts May 21st to the 24th. It's in Mexico. Remember, it's Tigres, Portland, Gotham, and Club America. And the winner of this gets to go to the Club World Cup. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens and how different, frankly, these teams look. I mean, Gotham's going to look drastically different. Sandra, you teased it a little, but Euros 2025 in Switzerland.
Yes.
I'm really, really excited for this tournament to see some other nations that have shored up themselves in the last couple of years, how England is going to try to defend their title, how the host country of Switzerland is going to be so proud to host this tournament. There's a lot that comes with the Euros this summer, and I am very, very excited for them. I'm excited to see in the NWSL how no college draft this year affects the young players and the rookies. And I think that we are going to see young superstars absolutely ball out. We got a taste of it last year with more and more younger players coming into the league, right? With Kennedy Fuller, Claire Hutton, Melanie Barcenas. These young players have so much to prove and to give the game. And now that everyone's a free agent, I'm excited to see how that changes the game and how many young players get to show themselves off. We also get more football in 2025 because Canada's first women's professional soccer league, the Northern Super League, gets started in April, guys. So we get to see a new league, new players. I know so many Canadians are so excited for this to happen, and I am too. I'm going to watch it. I mean, why not add more soccer to my plate and watch it and see what's going on? That's what I'm excited for in 2025.
Let's go.
Guys, this was
Those
a
are
blast.
great shouts.
We're back.
Happy New Year.
We're back. Attacking Third. Guys, you can watch us Mondays and Thursdays, youtube.com/attacking third, 11 a.m. Eastern on Monday. We'll be back full-fledged all the time, talking about everything that you want to know. If you have questions for us, let us know. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend and vote for Attacking Third in the Sports Podcast Awards for Best Football Podcast and Diverse Voices Award. There's a link in this description of this show. There's a QR code on YouTube. Scan it, vote for us, and come join us on Monday. We'll be back. Thanks, guys, so much for joining us. Follow Attacking Third wherever you get your podcast and leave us a 5-star rating and review. You can watch us on YouTube, and don't forget to vote for us in the Sports Podcast Awards. For Mark, Darian, and Sandra, I'm Lisa. This was Attacking Third.